Hey, what's up, everybody? Now bear with us. This is our first time doing this podcast, so have a little
Our first time.
patience. All right. So, anyways, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Patrick. I got into bow hunting about 6 years ago, and I've been hooked ever since. I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I now live in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and when I got into hunting, it was like I said about 6 years ago. A good friend of mine invited me to go out with his dad and him and his grandpa. And I didn't know anything about hunting. I wasn't even properly dressed, but I see how much fun these guys had when they were out there. And plus, I got to see deer the first time, which I was lucky for that. And I was hooked ever since. And that's what led me to here in this podcast. And I'll let Davey tell his story.
So I'm from New York, Buffalo, but I hunt all over the southern tier of New York. I've been hunting probably since I was 14 and legally 16. So we're talking
Nice.
20 years in. Now I love this. It's like the biggest passion I have besides my kid. But you guys all know from my channel, you guys see all my videos. But I decided to do a podcast because to offer more to you guys as far as debates on different topics, from anything you could name to broadheads, bow tuning, arrow builds, even baiting topics, or
Yeah.
even what you guys want us to talk about. I think it's pretty cool that we could offer that to you guys. Now, the reason I think me and Pat linked up is we've known each other for a long time. And honestly, I didn't even know Pat hunted. I've been hunting for a while, and then I realized Pat hunted. So that actually blended with what I like is what he likes. So I think we both can agree that he likes certain things and I like certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So certain topics that we're gonna bump heads on are gonna be pretty interesting to see what happens. But me, as
Yeah.
far as hunting goes, like I said over and over, it's something I love a lot. And I've been doing it for the longest. I can tell you the first time I ever did it, like seriously with a gun, was with my dad. So I was 16 years old, and as all my family knows, we used to hunt state land in Sheridan. Now, I had a gun. My dad didn't have a gun, and I had my license. He didn't have his license. We all been there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But but the funny thing is, I'm sitting there, 16 years old, happy as can be. Finally got a gun in my hands, and 3 deer come running by. Now I was happy as could be, getting ready to take my first shot in something that I'm gonna do forever. And I go to raise the gun, and my dad just snatches the gun out of my hand, and he starts shooting at the deer. So ever since then, I became a lone hunter,
Man.
and I like to go in the woods by myself unless I'm filming a buddy. So, but you could check all that out on my YouTube channel.
Nice.
Well, I got a couple questions for you though, Pat. You said you started later, so I think you said 7 years you've been hunting,
Mm-hmm.
or was it?
It was
So,
roughly about 7 years ago.
so what was your first bow?
Oh man, it was a Bear Approach. I bought it online. It came as a package in like one of those cheap like Plano bow cases, which I still have the case. And it came with like 6 arrows, these cheap arrows, like 3 of them broke after like using it for a couple days. And I had to learn how to sunk the bow in and shoot in proper form, which I didn't have any of that at that time. Went out in the backyard, bought some targets, started shooting, thinking I was like some world class archer. Quickly found out that I had a lot of work to do.
Wait,
Like
so
I
you're telling me you're not a world class archer?
I think if I was, I'd have a lot more money, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
Or
you know,
you'd be sponsored by Matthews.
yeah, I knew you were gonna say that. So I got better over time, and then I went out hunting with my good friend Sean, and I remember we went hunting on private property, and that's my first time. So I didn't get the public land experience right off the bat, but that eventually came. So we're in a corner of this cornfield, tucked in the woods. We're on the ground, and I'm in the most uncomfortable, awkward position, and I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. I thought I had my broadheads tuned, which I did, or maybe I'm just lying to myself about that. But anyways, um, we had a doe and 2 smaller ones come in right in front of us. So I had to like turn around, and I'm a big guy. That's trying not to make a lot of noise. So And I turned around, the bigger doe was right there. She was so close, you freaking pee on her. And then, so anyways, I drew back and I'm waiting for her to step out, and her vitals are right in front of this tree. So I had no shot. And I'm at full draw with that bear approach that wanted to rip my arm out, like I said. And I'm sitting there at full draw, which felt like, you guys know, an eternity. So I had to finally let down because, my arm was going to get ripped off. And then she decides to step out. So I quick raised the bow, drew back, and I hammered that trigger. I punched the hell out of it. And that arrow went right over her back. She spun around, ran out like another 10, 15 yards. She's looking. She had no clue where that arrow came from. So my buddy Sean that was next to me had a crossbow. So he quick lifted his crossbow and he missed her. So she eventually took off and we were left there to go pick up our arrows. And, I'm walking back to the truck with my head down like, oh man, I wanted that deer. I worked so hard, but not knowing I made a lot of mistakes in the process. So it
So
was a whole learning experience. So that's how my first hunt with it, or went, excuse me.
honestly,
It was a
that
fail,
all
but
happened.
I learned a lot.
That all happened on your first hunt.
Yeah, that was my very first hunt.
Wow. My first hunt bow hunting, I don't think I seen a deer or had an opportunity for like the first 2 years. So that's actually pretty good.
Yeah. I know that's what my buddy kept telling me. He said, dude, that's your first time out. Some people don't even see deer. So
Yeah, I think I started bow hunting 19, I think it was. And
wow.
honestly, I didn't see a deer probably till, well, I seen them, but I didn't get an opportunity probably 21.
Wow.
But I remembered I got two that same day, so I filled both my tags. And
Nice.
I only harvested one though, but the other one got eaten by a coyote.
Ah,
But for me loving bow hunting, like I started with a gun, but now I love bow more than anything.
yeah, I
Like, it's
agree.
wild how that just switches. Like everybody's gun, but
Yeah,
to me, there's more passion and more skill. You ask me, using a bow.
yeah. I know, like, you hear a lot of guys say, well, don't you love the sound of a gun going off? I'm like, have you heard the sound of the arrow hitting the deer? I mean, come
Yeah,
on, that's a beautiful sound.
I mean, don't get me wrong. When you get in the woods on opening day of gun after walking around with a bow, you just get a sense of power. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
I want to say manliness. I don't want to say that and sound like all cliche, but
Mm-hmm.
like just walking around. I mean, let's say you walk the woods with a gun, it's easier to get a shot off
Mm-hmm.
than a
Most
bow,
definitely.
especially if you're walking the woods. But who's going to walk the woods with a bow?
Yeah.
I mean, but it could be done.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, I'd personally, if I had the choice, I'd bow hunt all year long. But then I feel at the same time, when gun season comes around, you're at a disadvantage. So
Mm-hmm.
why not use the gun?
Yeah.
Especially here in New York, when gun happens, oh my God, it's insane here. Like,
That's
there's
how
hunters,
Pennsylvania is.
dude, they come out of the woodwork. They're
Yep.
all over the place. So I
Yep.
remember a story, and it was actually in Swift Hill. It's where a lot of us hunt. And I was up in my tree stand. I brought my climber. I had a spot where I used to have a tree stand. And somebody booted it down. Yeah, I was young and didn't really know the laws of leaving a tree stand on public land. But then I moved into a climber, so I went like 80 yards past that spot. And it was pitch dark. I get set up in a tree, and now it's light out. And I turn around, and there's a guy 30 yards behind me on the ground.
Ah,
And I had no idea he was there. In my head, I'm like, how the hell did he get there? So this guy must have came all the way from the backside of the public and walked straight through. And I didn't hear him, didn't see him, nothing, no headlight or nothing. So
mhm.
it's pretty wild. But that shows you, like, pressured land, public land, even private land, man. Hunters, once the time comes, they're all over the place.
Yeah. That's like when after that hunt with Sean and them, like I ventured out on my own. So, I wasn't using OnX maps or anything. I just, looked on Google Maps for like game lands or researched it on Google. And then I found a nice piece and I thought, there wasn't any other hunters in there. Mind you, I was still new. So I walked in, it felt like 2 miles. I think it was like roughly a mile and a half. So I'm way in there. To me, that was far in. And, so I'm thinking, no, there ain't nobody gonna be there. So I found a nice tree and I marked it. Came in the next morning. I mean, it was dark. I made sure that that no one was gonna be there. Yeah, I didn't see anybody. So I got up in the tree. at a climber and got, I don't know, roughly 18 feet up. So, anyways, right at daylight, here comes like 10 dudes marching in. I'm thinking, I'm a mile in. Like, aren't these guys supposed to be by the road? But you learn quick, like you said, pressured land, there's going to be hunters pretty much everywhere you go. You're not
Now, do you
always
think?
everywhere. Some guys, they have their hidden spots. I get it, but you know what I mean.
Now, do you think? Like you said, you looked at a map to find your spot. Do you think the internet could be possibly the reason why other people are finding them spots because they're looking at the same thing on a map you are?
I believe that's a little part of it. Yeah, yeah, most definitely.
So, in all reality, there's like I believe like the internet has become, I want to say a hunting sensation because you get like Instagram, for instance, we all have them. YouTube, a lot of us have them.
Mm-hmm.
And you're seeing hunting evolve, if you ask me, as far as public and private.
Oh,
Like
definitely.
all these people out there how to kill big deer. But now when they're teaching strategies and everybody who wants to be the next best hunter, not even best hunter, harvesting deer, they all learn these strategies and it kind of puts people in the same playing field, I would say, that are willing to
Mm-hmm.
learn. But I still think nothing beats boots on the ground. Like you
Yeah.
can go ahead and read a map all day long, go off the map. Yeah, you might get into a spot and it'd be phenomenal, but you walking that spot prior would probably give you more knowledge than anything.
Oh, I agree.
That's why I think now if we go back to what I said about the internet, you would technically have an upper hand if you walked it and you would know the better spots than people just going off the map.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yep. It's amazing once because you can just look at the map and think oh, that terrain just looks so ideal for, you know, deer movement. There's definitely going to be deer in there, but until you get in there and you can visually see, that's why I noticed right away. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm looking around in the woods there. I'm like, it's once you're there and you're able to see their trails, their rubs, and all that other stuff. It's just a different dynamic than looking at an actual map.
Yeah, it's like you connect the dots to a bigger version of what you're looking at.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, I say it all the time. I say nothing beats scouting,
yep.
scouting, scouting, scouting. Like I think that's a big key. And me personally, what I picked up over the years is scout more than you hunt,
Oh
and
yeah.
scout all year long. A lot of people they just scout during season, which don't get me wrong, I think scouting during season is very valuable because
Hmm.
patterns change. But me, my best intel always comes when I go in the woods from January to April. If I'm in the woods walking there and then I'm finding everything from pressured beds because you gotta think you're hunting all year long. Them deer during the late season are gonna go to their best and most secured beds.
Hmm.
So if you're finding them during your scouting time, that's a key point to hunt next year.
Most definitely. Yep. Yep. Because ideally that's going to get you ready for next year. Because then you feel like you got a leg up going into the following season. Because like I used to think that get so hung up on thinking that pattern's going to be the same. Like, oh, there's those trails. They're going to hit those same exact trails. They're going to be in that same area, and that's not the case,
Dude,
especially on public land.
it's wild because my dad and my mom they used to own a camp, and me and my dad every day would go drive by this little piece of field that was connected to state land, and we're talking a month before the season, and we were spotting a beautiful 10 point and an 8 point together
Mm,
every single day. I mean, for like a week straight together, and then hunting season came. I was like so thrilled. I'm gonna kill this deer. I'm gonna kill this deer.
uh-uh.
I got in there and I hunted that deer hard. I never seen him once. I never even seen the 8 pointer. It shows you because once they rip that velvet
Heartbreaker.
off, they're in a whole different area. Then they
Yeah,
take off.
yeah, yeah. I used to say to one of my buddies who he's been hunting a lot longer than me, I said, you know, you feel like you said in the off season, you'll see them, right from the road or sometimes just 20, 30 yards in the woods. There's times where, I'm driving there's a piece of game lands, and you can see up this little like hill, and then there's like a little bench you can visually see before it gets deeper in. You can almost see them standing right there looking at the road. You're like, oh man, they're gonna be easy to kill. You know, I can get right in there, right at that spot, and then a lot of other guys pile up in there or think the same thing. You quickly realize that they're not going to be in those same areas come the season. But what I would say to him, I would say, is it like they come out in the off season, and then when the season starts, they have their own underground world that they just disappear to? Isn't that what it seems
No,
like sometimes?
they're like they're like Bigfoot. They magically disappear.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but then again, you go back to the internet thing. Like we're sitting here, we do a lot of scouting on. Well, I personally do. I know you do too. We do a lot of
Mhm. Oh,
scouting over
you're a
there.
scouting machine. You got me beat in that department. I,
Oh,
I gotta catch up.
honestly, I think I like scouting more than I do hunting sometimes.
Yeah,
But
nothing wrong with that.
I love taking someone who's never scouted before and bringing them in the woods. Like you can explain everything to you want face to face all you want and tell them this is what you look for, this is
Yeah.
this and that. But when you physically bring them in there and that you can visually show them what you're talking about, it opens up their eyes. Like everything looks brand new to them again. But back to the internet thing, like, all right, if everybody is on the same page, like scouting wise, right? And everybody is doing exactly what everybody else is doing. What could we do as hunters to go beyond that?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
That's where you got to really think outside the box. It's like you were just saying, you got that deer that's sitting there that could be easy to kill. But now I'm thinking that same thing, so I'm going to go after him too.
Hmm.
So what could we do as hunters that pushes the envelope to further what we're trying to accomplish?
That's like what me and you talked about in the past about the whole you got to have a backup plan to your backup plan and all that. You gotta have a plan for everything. When one's not working, you gotta have another. If you only have only a few and those don't work and you don't have anything else after that, then what are you gonna do? It's gotta dig deep.
Then do you think it's worth it chasing after that animal? Or like, what's a point where it's like, I'm done with him. I'm going to move on to something else. I feel like this deer, I don't want to say too many people are trying to go after him. I don't want to put that there because that even makes it more of a challenge if everybody's trying to get him. But when is a point in your head when you're like, I'm going to move on from this deer and I'm going to see what else I could get onto?
It's a tough question. I would say like I would usually give myself a time frame, like a couple days or whatever it may be, and if that like there's 3 days like you and I have talked about before, and you're not seeing anything in that specific area all around you, I feel like you almost have to move or just change up your whole strategy, come up with a whole new game plan. And I think that's where a bow hunter grows. Like you need failure or it can't always go smoothly because never every hunt never does. So you need that, those hard times and failures to become a better bow hunter, to think outside of the box. At least that's how I think.
I agree because me personally, I don't think I would learn as much as I've done over the years without messing so much stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be times where you walk in certain ways, and that alone, just your entrance into where you're trying to hunt, could be something you're doing wrong. And a lot of people don't think of
Yeah,
that,
definitely.
especially especially mature deer too. Like I'm a firm believer. Like everybody says, even my little brother. Sorry, Scott. He even says deer all the time are stupid. He says they're gonna run in front of cars all the time.
I have friends saying that too.
I said, you put us in a deer's element, they are extremely smart, like from
Mm-hmm.
their scent to their vision to how to survive. I was talking to you earlier about this. I said, growing up, I remember I would sit in a tree stand, and I'm talking 15 to 17 feet up in the air. And I'm talking when I was younger, deer would never look up. They would never look up at you. I don't even think I've seen a video from back in the day of deer looking up at you. even in the hunting videos. But now it's like deer have adapted that they look up, like they'll fake put their head down, but then they'll look up in the sky towards your
Mhm.
direction. And I never used to witness that when I was younger. I said now it's like they adapted in survival mode just to do that alone.
Yeah. I think that's like we said, that's all the hunting pressure because the sport has grown so much, which I mean, it's not a bad thing. We want to see the sport continue to go on even after we're all long gone. I mean, that's the end goal. We want to grow the sport. We want to see the younger generation be successful too. But like COVID and all that stuff, especially,
Yeah.
has made it even more. Because I noticed that with fishing too. Like people got bored, and what are they doing to get bored? They find new hobbies, go and spend money, and I think that along with hunting pressure and archery becoming so popular is the reason why we're seeing all these public land, excuse me, being overhunted and pressured and all that.
Well, you know what's crazy to me when you brought up COVID is I thought it was wild, like extremely wild, that new hunters were allowed in New York State. I don't know how it was in your state to now take their hunting course online
Yeah, yeah,
instead
here
of
too.
going in person.
Yeah,
I said that to me, it's cool and all, but there's so much missed in them courses. Like I remember taking both of mine, and I liked them. A lot of people didn't like them; they're long, boring, whatever.
yeah,
But I enjoyed them. Like I thought it was pretty cool. And then when I heard you could take them
same.
online now because of the COVID, I'm like, there's so much missed. Because after COVID, what I noticed, well, after they made it where you could take it online, is a lot of hunters I was running into were not wearing orange in the woods during gun season.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally never took the course online, so I don't know if that's something they talk about or
Yeah,
not.
I hear you.
But as a safety thing on public land, you want to make sure you're wearing orange so nothing bad happens. That's why I said it was something that I noticed after COVID more than anything is people were not wearing orange during gun season. And that to me
Yeah,
just blows my mind.
yeah. I noticed that here too. They did the same thing as because that classroom setting, like mine was kind of I think at like an archery club, and they had it set up like the chairs in there, like you're in class when you're a kid, in school.
Did you
And I
get to
felt like
follow the blood trail?
yeah, yeah.
That
They
was
they
fun. That was
yeah,
fun.
oh yeah, it was a blast. And then they even had a guy, bring in food. Of course, I guess that's the big guy. The big guys never miss the food. So
Yeah.
one guy was
That's what we
nice
all
enough
went
to
to lunch
bring in
for.
a bring in a whole spread, and it was like almost like, hey, you gotta pass this first before you get the food. But yeah, I just feel like that as you said, that classroom setting, you get way more of an understanding about hunting with safety. I mean, it's cool, the online thing, like, we both said that before. But yeah, the classroom setting, there's nothing like it. You learn more about hunting and the whole meaning behind it, rather than online, someone could just copy paste or fudge
Or
it
click,
or
click, 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 click,
take a
click, click.
picture with their yeah, just click do it, take a picture with their phone and come back to, that question they didn't understand, But yeah, I don't know. I agree that the classroom setting you just get so much more from it. And I was blessed to go in there because a lot of those guys were hunting for 30, 40, 50 years. So,
Yeah. My
guys like
instructor,
that got a lot to say.
I believe he was, we're talking when I was 16. He was probably 50, 60 then. And he did a lot of New York, he like a lot of classes. I remember
Hmm.
the day of class and he's giving the instructions in the class and the dude had a tick in the back of his neck. You could see it swollen as could be, and the dude
Straight out
didn't
of
give
the
a care in
woods.
the world. He didn't give a care in the world. He was still
Oh
teaching us what to
man.
do. And then my favorite thing about the thing is it goes back to what I was saying about bringing somebody scouting. Like
Hmm.
hands on is always more. That's how I am at least. I learn better from being hands on than someone physically
Yep.
me reading something.
Same
Like when it
here.
comes to anything, if I can mess around with it, play with it, do it instead
Hmm.
of reading something, I learn a lot better.
Exactly. Exactly. That's how I'm wired too. Yeah, some people, that's just the way it is, Like I was even the same way in school, I was like, the book stuff, I was never really a fan of. I'd rather the hands-on, like like your grandpa when you're working out in the car, get under here, boy, and then they show you how to do it, That's the whole thing with hunting. So, yeah, as I'm
So I
looking
think
over
nowadays,
another cassette.
oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, well, nowadays it's more like people want the easy route.
Oh,
Like
I know. I know.
they'd rather
That's,
piggyback off somebody else than put the work in themselves. I think
yeah,
it's a different ball game nowadays.
there's a lot more satisfaction, I believe, when you got to work hard for something, and there's an end result that, an accomplishment, like just like hunting when it all comes together, especially archery. When first see that arrow hit that deer, and then like regardless if your first deer or your latest deer, like that sense of accomplishment, and you did it on your own, you worked so hard for it. I don't know about you, but that's a great feeling.
Oh, I love it. Like there's no better feeling than me. What I love about hunting, I don't know. I want to ask you this also. What's your favorite thing? Is my favorite thing is like I don't want to say planning attack, but if I see a deer that I want to go after, like right now I got this one called Holyfield that I
Mm,
want him bad. Like his ear is that's why I call him Holyfield. He must have broke it into a fight. I
mm,
believe my buck I got last year is the deer that was fighting this deer because there are two massive deer in this
yeah,
area,
that's wild.
and my goal is like going after him this year. But that's what I love. It's like
It's like,
not planning attack. I don't want to say that, but like a strategy, like
yeah,
trying to learn the deer, what he's doing, so I can go after him.
hmm,
Like I already know which area he's in, but I'm not gonna know fully till I get more intel. And that's what I like is just finding the intel on what this deer is doing, so I can at least have a chance to go after him. Like a lot of people will just go in the woods, sit, and hope something walks by.
yeah,
To me, that gets stagnant and boring.
yep,
Like I gotta be on the go. I can't sit in the same spot for more than 2 days max.
yeah,
After that, it's visually, just even visually, like seeing different scenery to me is pleasing than sitting in the
yeah,
same spot over and over. Because like it takes a toll on you.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I feel like doing that alone possibly, I mean I could be wrong, but it ups your chances of harvesting deer
I
because
agree.
I'm a firm believer when you're in a hunting spot, your first time in that spot is always gonna be your best time.
Hmm.
Like I believe like I can hunt the same spot 7 days in a row, but the first day in there is going to be the best day.
That's right. That's
So
right.
I go to another spot, it's gonna be the best day because your scent's not in there, you're not messing up, and plus you don't know what you're gonna expect.
Mm,
You don't know what you're gonna see. So that's
yeah,
why I love hunting. I love the strategy behind it. It ain't always about killing. I just love doing something different than other people on how they approach hunting. Like anybody can go sit in the woods, something walks by, shoot it. I
yeah,
think after a while, that'll even become stagnant to you, not to you in general, but to like a lot of people. Like
yeah,
you're gonna evolve as a hunter one day, and you will be like, "This is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to hunt."
yeah. There's so much more
So,
to it. Yeah, yeah.
what do you love about it?
Oh man, very similar. Some of it's similar to you, but like the cat and mouse game with when you're chasing deer with the pursuit.
Yeah.
I think that's what keeps us bow hunters going. Well, every hunter, but um, yeah, I just chasing them and working hard for it, and finding where they're bedding and feeding and seeing how their patterns are. Like I told you before, there's bucks I watched on camera and I thought, they're going to be on that same pattern or, I'm going to catch them there at that certain time. And then there's times I see them on camera, I'm at work, but then when I'm there, they're gone.
Yep.
So it's just, it's the thrill of going after them and knowing that anything could happen when you're out there. That's what I always say. You never know what's going to happen on that hunt. We want it to go according to plan, but you and me, we know, and a lot of hunters out there, it never goes
It,
according to plan.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the stories of people going in who are new to hunting and coming out with monsters. Does it make
Hmm.
me jealous? Yeah, I think it makes
Yeah,
everybody jealous because the
yeah,
amount of work we
exactly.
put in. But it's still a cool story. Like, wow, you got this monster deer. How'd you get it? And they're like, oh, I just went in, sat, and boom, and it happened. But
Hmm.
that shows you right there. It's like anybody can get lucky any day of the week too. So
Yeah,
it's all about being out there hunting. You got to put the time in more than anything.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yep. So I'm looking over our notes. I think we covered what we want to talk to folks on the podcast itself when we want and talk about. I think you covered that in the beginning, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, guys, if there's anything you want us to talk about, we're new to this. I mean, I think it's gonna be fun.
Oh,
I mean,
certainly.
I like it because, like I said, it's who don't love talking hunting? Like,
Oh,
not even
yeah,
hunting. Who don't like talking products? Who don't like talking gear,
yeah.
self filming? There's so many avenues we could bring with this,
Oh, yeah.
just talking alone. And if there's anything you guys want us to talk about, just comment. Tell us below what you want us to talk about. We won't steer away from anything unless it's some stuff YouTube don't want us to talk about.
Yep,
But
exactly. Yep.
everybody knows how YouTube's going nowadays.
Yeah, yep. Censored subjects and all.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. Like I think I was telling you about it that now when you shoot a YouTube video and you harvest a deer, you can't even show the blood. Like
Mm,
you gotta. What I think a lot of people are doing nowadays is they're turning it to a black and white footage, so you can't. I mean, obviously you know it's blood, but it doesn't show up
yeah,
as red.
yeah.
So you get banned alone just for showing the blood. I said that's insane. I said, but
It
there's so
is
much other stuff on there that's way worse than what we've been doing for billions of
exactly.
years.
And that
But
that like takes away from the sport, like especially if you're someone new and you're going on YouTube and I mean I know I'm not trying to sound crazy when I say this, but there's some people that look forward to seeing that aspect of it because maybe they want to see that guy gut that deer because they haven't killed one yet. And they may have a grandpa or a friend that's going to show them, but they might want to get a little bit of an idea about gutting it before they get out there. I mean,
now,
don't you agree?
piggybacking off what you're saying, what if someone who never had that mentor and they want to
Yeah.
learn how to gut a deer? Now
Oh,
they want to go on YouTube
yeah.
to learn anything how to gut a deer, but you can't find nothing. To me,
Yeah.
but they'll go now if you go on other butcher shops, like there's butchering videos, they'll show you how to butcher a deer. They'll
Yeah.
show you
Yeah.
they'll show you how to butcher a cow. They'll show you how to butcher everything. But
Makes
the
no
most
sense.
important thing is gutting that deer so the deer meat don't go bad. But
Mhm.
like I said, if you don't have that
Yeah.
mentor, how the hell are you supposed to learn?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like you got someone
You're
on speed dial. Hey, what do I do now? It's like
yeah.
you got to figure something out now.
Yeah. Your friends may be at work, they might not be around, and then you're stuck there standing by a deer and you don't know how to field dress it. I mean, you're in trouble.
Honestly, I don't think they even talked about that in my hunting course on how to gut a deer. I can't recall that part. I
Yeah,
don't
me
think they
neither.
do.
I don't think
So
so.
that's pretty interesting then.
Yeah, that is. That kind of makes you think. Like you would think they would maybe at least touch on it a little bit, discuss the basics at least.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're gonna wrap this one up. We appreciate you watching. We both do have YouTube channels. We're gonna bring a lot more to you guys. I'm gonna post both of our links to our YouTube channels down at the bottom and our Instagrams. Take a look. Make sure you guys watch the whole thing, listen to what we talk about, and most of all, we hope you subscribe to the channels. Both of ours have our own channel. We're gonna post a video on both channels, so you got two places to watch it. So we appreciate you guys watching once again, and thank you guys.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.